You've tuned in to Bellingham Podcast Media Tech for the week of August 2017, episode 47. From the city by the Salish Sea, I am AJ Barce.
And straight out of 98226, I am Chris Powell. On this episode, we'll take a closer look at one of the more vibrant parts of downtown Bellingham, the Bay District. There's some new things you might not be aware of. We'll tell you all about it. Ever seen something unscripted and unrehearsed? It's hard not to watch. Well, guess what? We're switching off the autopilot. Stay tuned. All that and some tech and timepieces that caught our eye. Now that we can finally see through the summer smog, our eyes are focused squarely on the task at hand. Hey, look, AJ, it's a podcast. Let's get this party started. This is BPM Tech.
Breathe deep, my podcasting friend.
Indeed, we are not in the Smogville anymore. Good afternoon, AJ. How are you doing?
Good, Chris. How you doing?
I'm glad to be back on the stick after a little bit of a hiatus. Thank you very much for those of you listening and allowing us to allow life to occur for our respective lives.
Yep. I greatly appreciate everybody who subscribes, rates, and reviews us on the iTunes, on the Google Play, on the SoundCloud, and the Spreaker. And for to date, this is the station break was I believe the lowest downloaded podcast we have ever done in history.
Yeah.
I think people just saw it in the feed and were just like, and skip. But it's cool. So everybody's rejoining us. Chris and I greatly appreciate the break. We're mentally cleansed. We're squeaky clean.
Exactly. And once again, Bellingham Podcast Media Tech is brought to you by nobody because we don't deal with advertising.
Well, it's brought to you by Chris Powell and AJ Barce.
That's right. Exactly. The two founders of Bellingham Podcast.
The two founders.
Yes. All right. So we're going to get this started.
Yeah.
We have talked a lot about tech. We've talked a lot about mindfulness and mindsets and the things we're working on.
And stay tuned. Things are morphing.
And morphing in a good way. You'll like it. But we haven't really talked a lot about Bellingham.
Yeah.
Let's get back into the groove.
Yes.
So the Bay District. What the heck's the Bay District? The Bay District is, if those of you who are from Bellingham take Holly Street all the way down and time those stoplights at 27 miles an hour, the last stoplight before you hit the Maritime Heritage Park and go down into the non-stoplight zone of Holly Street, the last stoplight is the Bay District.
Down by the bay.
That's right.
Where the Bellingham grow.
That sounds good. Sounds good. So anyway, in the Bay District, we've got the Flatiron Woods in the Triangle Building. Also above that is Faith Life. Got Bayou on the Bay, Spark Museum Radio of Electricity, of which they have a radio station, 102.3 FM KMRE,
Low power
community radio, which is actually how we are being heard on the radio frequencies.
Terrestrially speaking.
Thursday at 9 and Saturdays at 1:30 p.m. In addition, we have the Pickford Cinema, Rocket Donuts, and so much more. But there's a new kid in the district, new kid in town.
Is it a caffeinated kid?
What else is there? It's either an alcohol-infused kid or a caffeinated kid. It's like what you mentioned earlier. We either have booze or brew.
Brew or brew.
There you go.
There we go.
New joint on the corner of Holly and I believe Bay Street. It's called Camber Coffee.
Sup, Camber?
Hello, Camber. Welcome to the town. Welcome to the party. It's a classy joint from whence I look to my left and I'm driving through Holly Street. I haven't been there yet, but you're on my hit list.
Yeah, that might be a future side of BPM.
I think so. Camber, CAMBER, coffee.com is the website. They have a menu online.
Like Castor and Camber.
There you go. And they have swanky appetizers.
Swanky?
To go with your coffee. And a fairly reasonably set up joint. I like it. It's a little mix, if I may be so bold, as is their brew, to have a combination of Primer Coffee, which is a wonderful joint.
Love you, Primer.
And the Temple Bar.
Gotcha.
Also in the auxiliary area of the Bay District. So if you get a chance and you're downtown, check out Camber Coffee. They're open a lot of hours during the day. I'm not quite sure of their actual times, but when I checked online, they're open a lot during the morning and evening. So
sweet.
Yes. In addition, there is an event coming up on Friday, August 25th. So if as you're hearing this on the radio, or if you happen to get this in your podcast feed, this upcoming Friday, it's not really news, but The Rooftop Cinema at the Parkade. This is also in the Bay District,
Yes.
kind of on Commercial Avenue, I believe.
Yeah, I believe so.
In that zone. They are showing Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
I am a podcaster of sorrow.
That could work too. This is the Coen brothers cinema masterpiece with George Clooney. And,
So good.
yes, and basically what happens is 6:30 on Friday, the gates will open. The beer garden will be open for business.
Deploy the beer garden.
And food court and vendors will be available for your dinner time enjoyment. 7 o'clock, they're going to have live music on top of the rooftop.
That'll be bumping.
And I've been able to lament, as has my beautiful wife, that it's getting darker earlier.
Yeah, we hit the cusp, I think.
Yes, and so 8:20-ish, or whenever Bellingham on Friday the 25th gets to be dusk, they will start the movie. So
Awesome.
You got your Friday plan set up. You got, if you are one who imbibes or one who doesn't, got you covered. They will probably have some donations there to be able to get in. Maybe bring $5 with you to just make sure and help out a good cause. But it's a killer movie. I'm a fan.
Oh, yeah.
And that's Friday, August 25th, Rooftop Cinema at the Parkade. But before that, on Sunday, August 20th,
Yes.
there's an event going on. Talk to me, Motorcycle Boy.
Yeah, so every year, this is not in Bellingham proper, but it is to our neighbors to the south. Sup, Skagit?
Hi, Skagit.
So in Skagit, I'm going to throw them a bone because they're my shop. I love these guys. Skagit Power Sports down in Skagit. Off of, I should know the exit by now, but I don't. But basically, it's the exit to your right before you hit the Anacortes exit.
So I think that one would be 230.
It's around there.
Highway 20?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So you turn right on the I-5 and you turn right and get off that exit. There's a Skagit Power Sports. They have the goods. Any motorcyclist that I ride with or talk with up here, we all pretty much go down there to have either service or just look at parts or just to get info. They're really a good bunch of peeps down there. But anyway, every year they have an event that they throw. It is called the Monkey Butt 300.
See, you already got me with the name.
I know.
But even though I'm not a motorcycle rider, I give props for the title of this event.
Yeah, and the logo is pretty fun. If you look at Google Skagit Power Sports Monkey Butt 300, it's a funny logo. So anyway,
Good enough.
Your imagination can run wild. But anyway, so the Monkey Butt, it's really it's just a rally. Basically, if you're a motorcyclist, it doesn't matter if you're a one-lung 250 rider like myself, or if you've got like a Harley with chops. Come as you are, and basically you pay $20. You ride from Skagit to the wonderful, wonderful town of Winthrop.
I like Winthrop.
So you ride, and basically at the end, the $20 gets you into the Winthrop Barn where they have barbecue lunch provided, and you get a cool Monkey Butt 300 shirt.
And should any of you listeners out there be a fellow motorcycle rider and want to say hi to my podcast partner in crime, AJ Barcet, AJ, how would you be available? Are you wearing a name tag saying, hello, my name is AJ?
No, I just ride a very bright red TU250, also known as a Tux, and I'll wave at you. We're good.
There you go. Sounds good. Sounds like we got some late summer activities coming up.
Yeah, which is really refreshing. So, fellow motorcyclists, I hope you keep it shiny side up.
And so now it's time for tech that caught our eye.
Yeah.
So what we got going on here, this is dealing with podcasts. And I'm going to go first on this one. Podcasts, there's an interesting statistic that I found. In 2013, which is about 4 years ago, nary a presidential term ago, let's not go there, but basically 4 years ago, 7% of all Americans listen to a podcast. That's not a lot.
No,
that's kind of countercultural in a lot of ways. But guess what? 4 long years later, depending on how you look at it, it's more than doubled to 15%.
Woo!
So now we're making some traction.
Still small, though.
Podcasts are starting to gaining some traction. 1 in 6 Americans have listened to a podcast. And for most, Apple is their source, to discover podcasts, mainly due to their onboard app.
Yeah.
And now, recently, past couple of weeks, Spotify is releasing original podcast content. Hi, Spotify.
What's up, Spotify?
In case you want to have a really cool podcast in the Northwest of the Northwest, that could be fun, but we'll talk. Basically, they want to keep their 50 million paid subscribers using their app instead of going to some other app for podcast content. So, strategic move for the Spotify juggernaut.
Well, I think it opens up the opportunity for a lot of cars and vehicles to also have Spotify integrated or way of it. And so I think that's the other avenue, is trying to do the talk radio approach, bring that kind of content to motorists.
Sure. And while we're on the subject of podcasts, I'm going to take the liberty now. I want to give a shout out to a podcast that I have enjoyed, that I've discovered and am really impressed with. Kindred spirits, if you will, probably more so in a lot of ways, but there is a podcast out there called Gear Tasting Radio.
Yes, ITS TAC.
Imminent Threat Solutions Tactical. So anyway, Gear Tasting Radio, howdy. They talk about backs, packs, coffee, notebooks, everyday carry, everything else under the sun. It's from a tactical lens. Well, we're kind of would we call ourselves pragmatic?
Yeah, minimalist.
Minimalist, thank you.
Pragmatic, we'll go with that.
Affordable, but they're going from the tactical standpoint. Yeah. And like BPM, but with ammunition. So as you're in your podcast app, check out Gear Tasting Radio. And if you want a podcast kind of to sample what they're like, I really have enjoyed episode 65, which is about keychain management and snacks for adventure. Great title.
Yeah, totally.
And so Kindred Spirits, what up, Gear Tasting? Love your name, love your podcast. I say, you're the goods.
Yeah.
So, AJ, what do you got going on with the timepieces as of late?
So, as of late, I just wanted, again, to follow up on the dipstick of smartwatches, as I like to call it. It's Sequent.
You gotta help me out on that one. What, the dipstick?
Dipstick. Remember, I started this as like, this Kickstarter could be a real dipstick, an indicator of the trend that we see in smartwatches.
Okay, because unfortunately it's been a couple weeks.
I know.
And the reference is lost on me because at this point I'm only picturing Roscoe P. Coltrane saying, and I quote, "Enos, you dipstick." So I flash back to Dukes of Hazzard, but tell me about Sequent. What's going on there?
So Sequent, if you remember, that was the first smartwatches using a kinetic drive.
Yes.
Remember, basically an automatic winding smartwatch.
A smartwatch that fits that Venn diagram where you're not hating on it.
Yes. So cool. Yeah, exactly. That I'm not hating on it. So anyway, they broke through their barriers. The last podcast that we did in 46, I mentioned it. They were sitting pretty. They were getting up to getting their dial loomed and stuff. And they were at 400,000.
Okay.
And at the time of this recording, they're 40,000 short of $1 million.
1 million.
1 million.
I don't know how much of an X is that. Like a 25X?
No,
2.5X.
I can't even do it. But yeah, 40K short of $1 million for a kinetic smartwatch.
That's worthy of a second look.
Yes. So again, my dipstick, like I said, I'm used to using it as to see what the trend is in this whole Venn diagram of people that like mechanical watches and those that want smart motion tracking, heart fitness rating, whatever. So it's interesting.
Very good for Sequent. It's always great to see a small company hit the big time.
Yeah. There's another one also in your vein called Nevo. Did you take a look at this one?
I have not checked that one out, but tell me about it.
Okay, so it's French styling, very minimal. You would approve.
I would.
What I find interesting is the dial. It's hyper minimal, like that movement, MVMT brand.
Yes, I have one.
Yeah, very flat. Mm-hmm. So anyway, they got white dials. The indices, though, so your 12, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, is it lights up in different ways to show what's going on with either your motion tracking or if you have a notification or whatever. So I thought of you when I saw this.
I like that color notification. I found that to be very helpful with productivity.
Yeah.
It harkens back to my days with the old Nexus 5 Android phone.
Exactly. Or the BlackBerry. We have the LED that tells you have a message or an email.
Uh-huh.
No, totally. So that's Nevo, Nevo. They start at 299 bones USD.
Seems standard.
Exactly. They're calling themselves, quote, it's with a Swiss movement, but they're calling themselves, quote, the first minimal smartwatch, which is why I thought of you.
While I like that, I'm starting to realize, folks, we may be overusing the term minimalist.
Well, in their design culture that they have in this watch, I can agree with their statement because it is a minimal dial.
Sparse, stripped down.
Oh yeah, it is. But out of it, I do see some efficiencies. I mean, the battery power, they're using a CR 2025 cell with smart features that can go 6 months on a charge, I guess.
That's impressive.
And then, so what I find interesting about this watch is they have two different battery cells, which this gets to another thing that I've griped about with smartwatches. If it dies, I can't tell time. That's the function of a watch.
Yep.
So they have two cells. They have a CR2025, which is that fuels the smart features part of this watch. The estimate was about 6 months on usage, and 364 cell for timekeeping, which gets, get this, 5 years, because basically a traditional quartz movement cell.
So 5 years is a pretty long time for any kind of device.
Yeah.
That is better than most car batteries.
Probably.
Yeah.
But anyway, I just thought it was an interesting tact of having two different cells to drive the two different functions. So anyway, take a look at them. My only gripe about them in their whole minimalism is their dial. So their brand is NEVO. And so when you look at the dial, it says NE and then your hands V, and then they have the O on the other side of the hands. But as the time changes, it just looks like Neo. I don't know. That is one design flaw of the dial that just kills it for me.
And unfortunately, I'm having smacks of oven, which is Nevo spelled backwards.
Yeah.
So it's a hot watch. Let's just put it
that way. So anyway, again, just tech that caught my eye.
Definitely will be checking that out in the future. So I got one more thing for tech that caught our eye. Not cauterized, but tech that caught our eye.
Cauterized.
Yeah. So I'm starting to see more apps available in both Android and iOS.
Yeah, it's called a landslide.
Yes, but one of them in particular is for your parallel life. And so basically, one of the things we've talked about in BPM is how you protect personal information. And one of the more important pieces of personal information is your mobile phone number. Well, there are apps out there that we've talked about, in some cases Burner and Shuffle in some cases, that will give you another phone number that you can pay a monthly fee, and it can be used to give to others in lieu of your actual phone number. There's an app out there, and it's actually two apps that I want to talk about. They're called Sudo, S-U-D-O, not P-S-E-U-D-O. But Sudo app gives you a number. Now, if you're in the Bellingham area, northwest of the Northwest, you're in area code 360. You're able to get, for about $2 a month, another number, up to 9 numbers. So let's just say that you're selling goods on Craigslist.
Yeah.
Or that you happen to be on Tinder. Or you happen to be talking with people that you really don't want to be talking, or have them bombard you on your personal number. You can get these quote unquote burner numbers or pseudo numbers that are tied into your account. This also gets you text messaging. And also you're able to you can customize your sudomail.com email address. So I have a username at sudomail.com. This is great for protecting your personal email account. It's a free app. However, you may want to do some in-app purchases for a monthly fee for this. In addition, there is a cousin app. Let's call it a cousin app called Sudo Pay, S-U-D-O Pay. And what happens with this is it's a great video. If you happen to go Google SUDO app, there's a great video about how many times we have our debit cards or credit cards hacked and have to get a new one reissued. You can have an app in which you have a prepaid card with a full 16-digit MasterCard number, expiration date, 3-digit security code that you can use for online purchases. And let's just say you go to shadywatch.com. I'm going to use your example. Let's just say you buy a Rolex.
Please don't go to something called shadywatch.com and try and think you're getting a good deal on a Frolex.
A Frolex, yeah, that's right. But let's just say you made a purchase on shadywatch.com and somehow you received notice that their site got hacked.
Yeah.
It's possible that you could go into your SudoPay app and cancel that 16-digit number, and SudoPay will issue you another 16-digit number with your balance of what you have available. Great way to handle online shopping and still protect that debit account or credit card account from your regular bank.
That's cool.
So check out SudoPay and a Sudo app in the iTunes App Store, in the iOS App Store, or in the Android Play Store.
Now, Sudo app I know has in-app purchasing. Is SudoPay free?
It is a free app. However, if you're going to get a quote-unquote prepaid card, you got to load $25. And at least I have an iPhone and I'm on the iOS app. It's possible to pay $25 via Apple Pay.
Oh, cool.
So therefore, Apple Pay is tied in with a form of currency.
Yeah.
And therefore that can be used to fuel and refuel your prepaid card.
But no monthly fee.
It's a little bit of a paradigm shift in how we're approaching online purchases. But if you watch the video, it's pretty entertaining, and it does have some merit to it.
Cool.
Something worth checking out.
Groovy.
All right. So in the recent episodes that we've had here in this humble little podcast, we've tried various bits.
Yeah.
And it's having fun. It's mainly this is a conversation between AJ and me and whatever the heck we want to talk about. In some cases, we've had challenges to you, our lovely, beautiful, and talented listeners.
Yeah.
Giving up an app. Trying, this to try to regain a little bit of sanity or disconnect.
And we appreciate all the feedback that we get on Instagram and Twitter and voicemails. And we greatly appreciate everybody's support. It's really been cool.
So I had one occur to me in recent memory during our hiatus, and I floated it by AJ, and we're kind of like, yeah, let's give it a try. So here you go. This one's called Unscripted Insights.
Do we have a jingle?
The next episode.
Okay.
Yeah. This is like the pilot of
right,
this little bit.
Right.
So basically, we have show notes on a sheet of paper so we can speak coherently to the things we want to talk about in this.
Part of the high quality of this podcast.
That's right. But there's a little thing out there called genuineness and rawness and it's uncut. And so basically the concept behind Unscripted Insights is I'm going to ask AJ a question. He doesn't know what the question's going to be. And we're going to get his response verbatim. Hopefully it'll be clean so we don't have that explicit tag on the podcast.
I'll keep it clean.
And then AJ's going to do the same to me. He's going to ask me a question. Volley back, if you will. So we don't know what questions we're going to ask each other. However, we hope they will be interesting. So I wrote a song about it. Like to hit it. Here you go.
Yeah.
AJ, my question for you, and you are not prepared for this, but you are having lunch with Bellingham Mayor Kelly Linville. And she says, AJ, I have the power to grant one thing that you want to change about Bellingham. And your response is?
That's a good one.
Oh, by the way, hi, Mayor Linville. You're the goods.
What's up, Mayor Linville? I want to do lunch because Chris has a really good question.
If you could change one thing about Bellingham, what would it be? Ladies and gentlemen, he's looking up, he's thinking, he's pondering his answer.
I think what I would lean towards, and I know this is very trivial, but I think it would appease a lot of people, is the parking situation we have in Bellingham. Like Fairhaven now has 2-hour parking only, but realistically nobody abides by it. At least that I've seen.
It may not be actively enforced.
I don't know. But still, regardless, a lot like we pay for parking. Motorcyclists, I've complained about this on the show. I have to pay for parking for a motorcycle slot at the same rate as a car, yet I take a fraction of the space. I don't know. I kind of feel like maybe we local Bellinghamsters, as it were. It'd be nice to have, like, we see this in some of the neighborhoods, like you have a parking pass and it's just in your window. It'd be nice to just either, I'm not saying we need to have free parking, but just have a locals parking pass where basically diplomatic immunity. You park, you pay, I don't know, like our state parks, $50 a year, and you have parking in Bellingham.
Okay. Sounds good. That's a very good answer. I was not expecting that.
Yeah.
And Mayor Linville, if you're listening, there you go. All
right.
Just
a thought. I don't know.
You're up, dude.
That was raw. Okay. That was in left field. Okay. Mr. Minimal.
Yes.
I'm going to be testing your minimalism. Let's say I have no fancy person that you're having lunch with. That was a really good setup. But let's say you had no choice, but you had to do social media, and you had to do social media on a personal level. What one platform would you pour your energies in, and why?
I'm going to go with Facebook because quite frankly, yeah.
What? You don't even have a Facebook.
Exactly. But if I was to go personal, I'm going to go against the tidal wave of people in what they're currently doing on Facebook. I want to be genuine. I don't want to sanitize and prep and take multiple pictures of where I am. If I'm having a bad day, you don't have to like it. If I was a jerk to my daughter because I was having a bad day and was in a grumpy mindset, like Grumpy Calvin and from the comics, I will be happy to admit that. Yeah, 1 billion potential trolls are there on Facebook, but why not go to a place that is so everyone has their mask on and everyone is just trying to show, look how amazing my life is. And here I am alienating all of our listeners on BPM with Facebook. But here's the thing. If I'm going to be personal and straight up, I will do that on the place that is not as acceptable or creates a lot of, awkward. I would choose Facebook right off the top of my head.
Interesting.
Yeah, because it's easy to, Twitter, that's a fire hose of information. It's so difficult. We could talk about Twitter in another time.
Instagram is a persona.
Instagram is your persona, very similar to Facebook, except it's with visual pictures.
And it's also, you can have a handle. I mean, you don't have to go like minimal tag.
Yeah.
But with Facebook, I mean, it is Chris Powell.
That's right. And, and at this point, it's a tough question because I'm very private about my personal. But if I was to, and if I had no choice, like your question said, that's where I'd go.
Wow.
So there you go. Should you have any comments or thoughts about either AJ's or my insights, you're welcome to tweet us at hashtag BHAM, BHAM. The M is for Marvelous Podcast, hashtag BHAM Podcast. Or if you wanted to give us a call and leave us a voicemail, which would be rather interesting to get some feedback on our raw, unscripted, unrehearsed answers, give us a call. Area code 201-731-8324. That's 201-731-TECH. Love to hear from you. And if you want to bust my chops about Facebook after when I've been so anti-Facebook for all this time, go for it. Love to have the feedback.
Now I'll probably get the tidal wave of my response to Mayor Kelly Linville in my parking situation, but that's okay. You can send the hate mail. Just keep it clean and be nice about it.
I appreciate being nice about it.
So Chris, let's wrap this up, I guess.
Well, at 25 minutes or 24 minutes, 50 seconds, we got 5 more minutes of content, AJ.
Well, Chris, I happen to know that you're a content creator. So what are you creating these days that you could plug for 2.5 minutes? Go!
Oh my goodness. What are we working on for
100 tech tips. I put a plug in the station break for you. How's it going?
It's going great. And thank you for that, by the way. So 100 tech tips, I got a lot of answers to tech friction, tech stress. But you know what? I've realized I haven't been able to come up with 100 bang that are just like, press Control C to copy your text. No, I want to get something that's like meaty, worthy of your attention, stuff like that. And I've got 78 currently published right now.
Close.
I'm getting there. So 100 tech tips, 100techtips.com. And also I'm full steam ahead on my Friday newsletter, Quiet Conversations, bit.ly/Quiet Chris. It's life insights that are edited, not quite raw, unscripted insights, but, I want to make sure that I have coherent thought. I think about a lot of things, and there's a lot of sharing of stories and some things to think about as you approach a weekend.
Yeah.
And as far as other content, just working on various aspects, but I got another thing up my sleeve later on. But stay tuned in the fall season, perhaps. So, AJ, how about you? What's going on in the photography land or your Patreon land?
Actually, I've been doing a lot of work in that kind of that motion graphic sphere.
I've noticed this.
Yeah, so I just published 3 shots from Ventura, California. I was down there for a visit and also as a shoot, and I was just doing the beach bumming thing.
Yeah.
And, doing what you do in California. So I was walking this pier and I just got done talking to this elderly woman who was just welcoming me to the city. And there is this cool cat on a surfboard just hucking waves. I don't know what the surf vernacular is.
Drop us a line if you know what the actual term is. We'd love to know.
Yeah. So anyway, carving waves. And it was, I had the right lens with me, and so I started popping some shots, and I got this epic shot of him actually before he biffed. and just he's leaned back into this this curl, and he pulls out of it just fine. But there's this spray that kind of coasts over him. So anyway, shot that as a static shot, ran it through an app, and produced this motion graphic that kind of brings the water back to life, but the surfer is still. And so I did there's a series of 3 shots that I did, and I posted it on Patreon and Instagram and a few other places. But if you're interested in that kind of stuff, take a look at my Patreon, patreon.com/AJ Barce, and support me as a Patreon patron, and you can see kind of bonus access of how that stuff gets done. Well, that wraps it up for this edition of BPM Tech. Thank you again so much for listening to us, rating us, reviewing us on the Google Play, on the SoundCloud, on the Spreaker, and even on iTunes. If you're in the Bellingham area, you might be listening to us terrestrially speaking over the air on KMRE 102.3.
Low power
Community radio here in the heart of Bellingham, Washington. From the city by the Sailor Sea. Thank you again so much for listening. I'm AJ Barce.
And I'm Chris Powell. Thanks again for joining us once again on BPM Tech.
It's good to be off a break.
It's so nice.